Let's just dive right into it. Today, we're unpacking a framework that is honestly a total category of one. We're looking at True Transformational Leadership, or TTL for short. Now, this isn't your standard run-of-the-mill management seminar. We're talking about a revolutionary leadership operating system, and it's built from nearly 30 years of intense, real-world Fortune 100 operational and people leadership experience. We're going to look at how this system completely redefines the way we develop leaders from the ground up. So if you've ever felt like traditional leadership training just doesn't stick when the pressure's on, you are absolutely in the right place.
You know, there is this massive elephant in the corporate boardroom. Why do highly capable, incredibly smart people still crash and burn when the heat gets turned up? Think about it. Organizations are constantly promoting their absolute best performers into roles with way more complexity. But here's the catch. They do this without providing any kind of comprehensive leadership formation. And the result? Well, it's exactly what you'd expect. We see these massive execution gaps, deep crises of confidence, total communication breakdowns, and just severe burnout. A leader might be brilliant on paper, but under extreme pressure, their effectiveness literally just crumbles.
And that brings us to the core issue. We have to realize that this failure, it actually isn't a lack of information. TTL calls this failure the transformation gap. It's this enormous divide between conceptual knowledge, knowing what you should do, and the lived reality of actually executing that knowledge when everything is on the line. Look, leaders today have more access to books, frameworks, and data than at any point in human history. But information alone doesn't magically change how a leader regulates their emotions during a crisis, right? Being capable under normal, sunny-day circumstances is great, but the transformation gap is where that capability entirely collapses under intense pressure.
So let's contrast this. Traditional leadership development is usually super fragmented. It's completely information-based and focuses entirely on what to do. It basically tries to treat the symptoms by handing out isolated skills, like giving you a quick workshop on conflict resolution on a Tuesday and then a time management webinar the next month. It's piecemeal. True transformational leadership, though, it's a fully integrated system. It's formation-based, which means it focuses intensely on who to be. Instead of just bolting some shiny new skills onto a shaky foundation, TTL rebuilds the leader entirely from the inside out.
And this inside-out approach is non-negotiable because of a really fascinating chain of causality. Check this out. Identity shapes thinking. Thinking influences emotion. Emotion drives behavior. And behavior ultimately produces results. If you only train people at the behavior level, which, let's be honest, is what the vast majority of traditional models do, it is a complete architectural failure. It's literally like painting over a crumbling, cracked wall. When the real pressure hits, forced surface-level behaviors just vanish. For execution to actually be sustainable, it absolutely must be anchored at the root level, and that root is a leader's identity.
Okay, so how do we actually go about closing that transformation gap? To do it, TTL relies on a rigid, sequential architecture of 7 pillars. And this sequence is everything. You can't just skip ahead to Pillar 5 and expect it to magically work if you haven't done the hard work in Pillar 2. It basically proves that you have to master your own internal capacity before you can ever hope to sustain external, real-world execution. Let's walk through these pillars really quickly and see how this entire operating system is constructed.
Starting right at the base with Pillar 1, self-awareness. Clarity is the birthplace of leadership. That is absolutely crucial. The big takeaway here is that leaders have to establish a rigorous distinction between their natural design, like who they actually are, and their learned conditioning, which was who they had to become just to survive or perform in past toxic or high-stress environments. Until a leader has a firm baseline of truth about how they actually show up and how their team truly experiences them, honestly, they're just leading blind.
Now, that foundational awareness feeds directly into Pillar 2, self-mastery. Because once you have that awareness, you desperately need discipline. This pillar is all about making the jump from being stuck in reactive survival mode to embodying regulated leadership. I mean, think about it. There is no way you can move to enterprise-level strategy if you can't even regulate your own emotional responses under stress, right? Developing this core internal stability prevents the kind of erratic, volatile behavior that completely destroys organizational trust. Self-mastery means you start responding with deep intention rather than just reacting out of pure habit.
So once that internal foundation is solid, Pillar 3 shifts our focus to the outside world with leadership intelligence. This is about treating leadership as a true formal discipline. It develops a leader's ability to accurately read the room, really understand power dynamics, and apply behavioral science to highly complex relational situations. It moves you way past just, relying on your natural charm or an extroverted personality. It equips you with the actual intelligence you need to navigate corporate systems and human behavior ethically and highly effectively.
Then Pillar 4 introduces a concept that is a real game changer: operational load bearing. Look, leadership isn't just about who you are. It's about how much weight you can realistically carry. Operational load bearing equips leaders to handle enterprise-level systems, high public visibility, and severe unexpected crises without completely breaking down or letting the quality of their work tank. It is literally the difference between a mid-level manager who gets easily overwhelmed and an elite executive who thrives in the middle of massive complexity.
And that sets us up perfectly for Pillar 5, strategic execution. Motion is not impact. Wow, right? It's a massive trap so many leaders fall into. They genuinely think because their team is constantly busy and stressed out, they must be succeeding. But true leaders don't just stay busy for the sake of it. They translate a massive, high-level vision into actual, measurable, tangible outcomes. And they do this through incredibly disciplined operational rhythms. This specific pillar is where all that leadership potential we've been building actually transforms into organizational reality.
But here's the thing, even with flawless execution, a leader still needs Pillar 6, confidence activation. Even highly capable leaders often shrink back because of imposter syndrome or a deep fear of visibility. TTL uses a proprietary confidence quotient here, and what it proves is that true authority isn't just some loud, extroverted personality trait you happen to be born with. It is a strategic muscle, and it's built through the intentional accumulation of what they call receipts, like actual undeniable evidence of your capability that you gain through courageous, bold action. This pillar totally eliminates the mental noise and activates your true internal authority. Which leads us straight to the summit. Pillar 7, multiplication and legacy. Listen to this. Transformation is not proven by what changes in you, it's proven by what changes because of you. A truly transformed leader doesn't just stop when they hit their own personal success. No way. Their ultimate goal is building replicable blueprints in other people. It's about intentionally designing a legacy so that the organization continues to thrive, scale, and grow long after that leader has left the room. So a great question here is, how do you know if a leader has actually progressed through all these pillars? Well, TTL relies on a massive paradigm shift. They completely abandon traditional academic grading. Passive learning and taking multiple choice tests on theoretical knowledge just doesn't cut it in the real world. Instead, they use evidence-based validation. Leaders have to actually prove their transformation in reality through high-stakes behavioral experiments. They literally have to accumulate real receipts of their impact. You don't pass this by taking a test, you pass by producing actual, undeniable results in your organization.
Now, because doing this kind of deep, transformative work requires incredible psychological safety, real-time feedback, and really intense peer-level accountability, the instructional model is highly exclusive. In fact, the 9-week founding cohort for this true transformational leadership experience is an elite, extremely time-sensitive opportunity that is strictly limited to just 20 leaders. Limiting it ensures that every single participant gets the highly personalized, rigorous environment they need to completely rebuild their leadership operating system.
So, as we wrap up this explainer, I really want you to consider this one thought. Will your leadership leave a legacy, or is it just going to be a memory? TTL is rapidly positioning itself as the absolute future of leadership development. It's not about making you slightly better at running a Tuesday afternoon Zoom meeting. It's about forming you into a leader who sustains massive, measurable impact. So, are you ready to stop just managing symptoms and become a leader who truly transforms organizations from the inside out? If you are, you definitely need to learn more about this and take that next step. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll catch you next time.